The diplomatic space station Harmony's Edge floated in the void between two star systems. It was neutral ground where no weapons were allowed and no flags flew higher than others. Ambassador Jiho Kim stood at the main viewport watching ships arrive from across the galaxy. Today would change everything for humanity. Jiho checked his uniform one more time. The dark blue fabric with golden earth emblems felt heavy on his shoulders. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment. Humanity was finally ready to join the Galactic Council. They just had to prove they were worthy. Ambassador Kim called Hyun Woo from across the reception hall. "The Veltar ship is approaching." Jiho turned to watch the massive vessel glide toward the docking bay. The ship looked like it was grown rather than built. Its surface curved and flowed like water frozen in time. Strange lights pulsed along its hull in patterns that seemed almost like breathing. The other diplomats in the hall grew quiet. Everyone knew about the Veltar Empire, but few had ever seen them. They controlled 12 star systems on the far edge of known space. Their technology was beyond anything most species could understand. Some said they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. "Remember the briefing," Jiho whispered to his team. "Show respect but not weakness. Be curious but not pushy. And whatever happens, do not touch anything without permission." The docking bay doors opened with a soft hiss. First came the honor guard, 6 figures in flowing robes that seemed to be made of liquid metal. Their faces were hidden behind masks that looked like abstract art. They moved in perfect formation without making a sound. Then she appeared. Jiho felt his breath catch in his throat. The Veltar representative was unlike anything he had ever seen. She stood tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to glow from within. Her armor looked alive. It moved and shifted with each step she took. Colors flowed across its surface like oil on water, but it was her eyes that held him. They were deep violet and seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. When she looked at him, Jiho felt like she could see into his very soul. "I am Nara of the Veltar Empire," she said. Her voice was musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "I come in peace to speak with the children of Earth." Jiho stepped forward and bowed slightly. "I am Ambassador Jiho Kim. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to Harmony's Edge." Nara tilted her head slightly. The gesture was so human it surprised him. "You speak our greeting words well, Ambassador Kim. Your people have studied hard to prepare for this meeting. We have great respect for your civilization," Jiho replied. "We hope to learn from your wisdom." The formal greetings continued for several minutes. Other species ambassadors watched from a respectful distance. The Veltar had agreed to meet with humanity, but no one knew why. They rarely concerned themselves with younger civilizations. As they walked toward the conference room, Jiho noticed how Nara's armor seemed to respond to her emotions. When she was pleased, it shimmered with warm golden light. When she was thinking hard, deep blue patterns swirled across its surface. Your armor is beautiful, Jiho said without thinking. Nara stopped walking and turned to face him. For a moment, something flickered across her features. It might have been surprise or perhaps fear. You call me beautiful, human, she said slowly, but you have yet to witness what lies beneath my armor. There was something in her voice that made Jiho's skin tingle. A warning, perhaps, or maybe a promise. He could not tell which. Beauty comes in many forms, he replied carefully. My people believe that true beauty lies not in appearance but in actions and character. Nara studied his face for a long moment. Your species continues to surprise me, Ambassador Kim. Most beings see only the surface of things. They entered the conference room where a large round table waited. The room was designed to make no species feel more important than others. Every chair was the same height. The lighting was adjusted to be comfortable for all known eye types. As they took their seats, Jiho watched Nara move. She was graceful, in ways that seemed impossible. Her armor flowed like water, but was clearly solid. It made no sound when she sat down. Your people wish to join the Galactic Council, Nara began. This is not a simple matter. Many species have tried and failed. What makes humanity different? Jiho had prepared for this question. We bring diversity of thought, creativity in problem-solving, and the ability to adapt quickly to new situations. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We have learned to work together despite our differences. These are good qualities, Nara agreed. But they are not unique. The Zephyrians survived worse disasters. The Korthan have greater creativity. The Nexians adapt faster than any known species. Jiho felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Humanity's future hung in the balance of this conversation. Then let me speak of something that may be unique, he said. We have learned to find hope in the darkest places. When everything seems impossible, we keep trying. We believe that any problem can be solved if we work hard enough and long enough. Nara's armor shifted to a deep green color. Hope. She repeated the word like she was tasting it. Yes, this is something special about your kind. Even when you should give up, you do not. Hope has carried us through every crisis, Jiho said. It will carry us through whatever challenges the galaxy might bring. For the first time since arriving, Nara smiled. It was a small expression, but it transformed her entire face. Perhaps there is more to humanity than I first thought. As the formal meeting continued, Jiho found himself stealing glances at Nara. There was something about her that called to him, something beyond her obvious beauty and grace. She seemed lonely despite being surrounded by advisors and guards. When she thought no one was looking, her armor would dim and her shoulders would slump slightly. It was as if she carried a great burden that she could never put down. The meeting ended with tentative agreements to continue talks. As the delegates prepared to leave, Nara approached Jiho privately. Your words about hope interest me, Ambassador Kim. Perhaps we might speak more of this during your stay here. Jiho nodded eagerly. "I would be honored to continue our conversation." As she walked away, her armor caught the station's artificial light and threw rainbow patterns on the walls. Jiho watched until she disappeared from sight. Something told him that his life had just changed forever. The combat demonstration arena buzzed with excitement. Representatives from 12 different species filled the viewing gallery above the training floor. Ambassador Jiho Kim sat in the front row, his eyes fixed on the arena below where advanced combat drones waited in silent rows. "The Veltar wish to show their military capabilities," announced the station commander through the speakers. "This demonstration will help the Council understand their readiness to defend Alliance territories." Jiho leaned forward as Nara entered the arena. Her armor had changed since yesterday. Now it was deep silver with flowing blue lines that pulsed, like veins carrying light instead of blood. She moved across the floor with steps so smooth she seemed to float. "Begin Level 1 protocol," the computer announced. 3 training drones activated and moved toward Nara. They were standard military, models used by most Council species. Fast, smart, and equipped with stun weapons that could drop a warrior in seconds. Nara stood perfectly still as they approached. Her armor began to shift and change. Parts of it flowed like liquid metal, while other sections hardened into sharp edges. Jiho watched in amazement as her right arm transformed into something that looked like a sword made of pure energy. The first drone fired its stun beam. Nara moved so fast that Jiho barely saw her dodge. She spun around the attack and struck the drone with her energy blade. The machine fell to pieces before it hit the ground. The other 2 drones attacked together, trying to catch her between their fire. Nara leaped straight up, higher than any human could jump. Her armor spread out like wings, slowing her fall. She landed behind one drone and destroyed it with a single strike. The third drone tried to retreat, but Nara was already moving. Her armor flowed again, creating some kind of net that wrapped around the machine. The drone struggled for a moment before its lights went dark. "Level 1 complete," the computer said. "Beginning Level 2. 6 new drones entered the arena. These were military-grade machines with heavier weapons and better armor. They moved in formation like a real squad of soldiers. Nara stood in the center of the arena and closed her eyes. Her armor began to glow brighter. The blue lines spread across its entire surface until she looked like a being made of starlight. The drones opened fire all at once. Energy beams crossed the air from every direction, but Nara was no longer where they were aiming. She moved between the attacks like water flowing around stones. Her armor seemed to predict where each shot would go before the drones even fired. Jiho rubbed his eyes and looked again. For just a moment, it had seemed like her armor moved before she did, like it was guiding her rather than following her movements. One by one, the drones fell. Nara fought like a dancer, each movement flowing into the next. Her armor changed constantly, becoming whatever weapon or shield she needed. When a drone tried to grab her, the armor became slippery. When another fired, at close range, it became hard as diamond. Level 2 complete. Beginning Level 3. The final test was 12 drones working as a perfect team. They had studied her fighting style during the previous levels and adapted their tactics. These machines were as smart as most living warriors. Nara paused for a moment and looked up at the viewing gallery. Her eyes found Jiho's across the distance. Even from so far away, he could see something in her expression. Not fear, but a kind of sadness. Then she began to fight in earnest. What happened next was unlike anything Jiho had ever seen. Nara moved through the swarm of drones like lightning given form. Her armor flowed and changed so fast it seemed alive. Sometimes she had 4 arms, sometimes wings, sometimes she seemed to split into multiple figures before flowing back together. The drones never had a chance. In less than 3 minutes, all 12 lay in smoking pieces on the arena floor. Demonstration complete, the computer announced. All combat objectives achieved. The viewing gallery erupted in amazed chatter. Representatives whispered excitedly to their aides. Even the usually calm Nexian ambassador looked impressed. But Jiho only had eyes for Nara. She stood alone in the center of the destroyed arena, her armor slowly returning to its normal silver color. For a moment she looked tired, more than tired. She looked ancient, like someone who had been fighting for a very long time. After the other representatives left, Jiho made his way down to the arena floor. Nara was examining one of the broken drones with curiosity. "That was incredible," he said as he approached. "I have never seen anyone fight like that." Nara looked up from the machine. "Your species has warriors too, Ambassador Kim. I have studied your military history. Very impressive for such a young civilization." "We fight when we must," Jiho replied, "but nothing like what you just showed us. Your armor, it seemed to know what you needed before you did." Something flickered across Nara's face. "You are very observant. Most beings see only the result, not the process." "I noticed something else," Jiho said carefully. "You looked sad up there, even while you were winning." Nara was quiet for a long moment. She touched the wall of the arena with one hand. Her armor sent small ripples of light across her fingers. "Combat is necessary sometimes," she said finally. "But it is not something to celebrate. Every fight, even against machines, reminds us of the cost of violence." "That is very wise," Jiho said. "My people have learned similar lessons. We had many wars before we learned to work together." "Yes, I know of your history," Nara said. "World wars, civil conflicts, revolutions. Yet you survived and grew stronger. This is remarkable." Jiho was surprised. "You studied our history that carefully?" "I have studied many things about humanity," Nara replied. "Your literature interests me most, especially your poetry." She turned to face him fully. Her armor had settled into soft patterns of gold and blue. "There is a poem by one of your ancient writers, Kim Satgat, I believe. He wrote about finding beauty in broken things." Jiho's eyes widened. Kim Satgat was a Korean poet from centuries ago. Few humans outside Korea knew his work. "You know Korean poetry?" he asked in amazement. I know many languages and many poems, Nara said with a small smile. Your words have power, Ambassador Kim. They carry hope across the darkness between stars. She quoted the poem in perfect Korean, her musical voice making the ancient words sound like a song. The poem spoke of finding light in shadows and strength in gentleness. How do you know our language so well? Jiho asked. I have had much time to study, Nara said. More time than you might imagine. There was something in her voice that made Jiho want to ask more questions, but before he could speak, her armor suddenly shifted to a bright warning yellow. I must return to my ship, she said quickly. My advisors are calling for me. As she walked toward the exit, Jiho called after her. Would you like to continue our conversation later? Perhaps over dinner? Nara stopped and looked back at him. Her armor cycled through several colors before settling on a warm purple. I would like that very much, she said. But I should warn you, Ambassador Kim, I am not what I appear to be. Getting close to me might be dangerous. Danger has never stopped humans from doing what we think is right, Jiho replied with a smile. For the first time since he met her, Nara laughed. The sound was like silver bells in the wind. Then perhaps we understand each other better than I thought, she said. As she left the arena, her armor caught the light and threw dancing patterns on the walls. Jiho watched until she was gone, his mind full of questions and his heart full of something he was not ready to name. The observation deck of Harmony's Edge was empty at this hour. Most beings were either sleeping or working in their quarters. Ambassador Jiho Kim had come here to think about the day's negotiations. The talks with the Veltar were going well, but something about Nara troubled him. He found her standing at the main viewport, looking out at the Crimson Nebula. The massive cloud of gas and dust painted space in shades of red and gold. Her armor had changed again. Now it was deep purple with silver threads that moved like living circuits across its surface. Beautiful, is it not? She said without turning around. Somehow she had known he was there. Yes, Jiho replied, moving to stand beside her. My grandmother used to say that nebulae were where new stars learned to dance. Nara turned to look at him. Her violet eyes seemed to glow in the nebula's light. Your grandmother sounds like she was wise. She was a poet before the wars came to Korea, Jiho said. She taught me that beauty could be found anywhere if you looked with the right eyes. The right eyes, Nara repeated slowly. Yes, that is important. Most beings see only what they expect to see. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the nebula swirl and shift. Stars were being born somewhere in those clouds of gas. New worlds were forming that would one day hold life. Tell me about your home world, Nara said suddenly. I have read the files, but files do not capture the feeling of a place. Jiho smiled, remembering. Earth is a world of water and mountains, blue oceans that stretch beyond the horizon. Forests so thick you can walk for days without seeing the sky. In my country, Korea, the mountains turn colors in autumn. Red and gold like that nebula, It sounds peaceful, Nara said with longing, in her voice. It is now, Jiho replied. But it was not always so. We fought many wars before we learned to live together. What about your world? What is Veltar Prime like? Nara's armor shifted to deeper shades of purple. The silver threads moved faster across its surface. Veltar Prime is a world of crystal. And song, she said finally. Our cities are grown from living crystal that sings in harmony with the planet's core. The forests are silver and blue, and they whisper secrets to those who know how to listen. That sounds incredible, Jiho said. I would love to see it someday. Perhaps you will, Nara replied, but her voice was sad. Though I wonder if you would still find it beautiful if you knew its true nature. There was something in her tone that made Jiho turn to face her fully. What do you mean? Nara was quiet for a long moment. Her armor dimmed until it was almost black. Everything has a price, Ambassador Kim. Beauty, power, perfection. The question is whether the price is worth paying. What price did your people pay? Jiho asked gently. Instead of answering, Nara asked her own question. Do you have family? Children? Someone who waits for you on Earth? No, Jiho said. I have devoted my life to diplomacy. I always thought there would be time for a family later. And do you regret that choice? Jiho considered the question. Sometimes. But I believe that helping species understand each other is important work. Maybe more important than my personal happiness. Nara's armor brightened slightly. You would sacrifice your own desires for the good of others? Would not you? Jiho asked. I have, Nara said so quietly he almost missed it. More than you could possibly know. Before Jiho could ask what she meant, her armor suddenly flashed bright yellow. She pressed her hand to her temple as if listening to something only she could hear. What is it? Jiho asked. Emergency transmission, Nara replied, her voice now tense. Pirates have attacked one of your colony worlds, 3 Claw Station in the Outer Rim. Jiho felt his blood turn cold. 3 Claw Station was home to 50,000 human colonists, men, women, children who had gone to the frontier to build new lives. How many ships? He asked. 15 raider vessels, Nara said, still listening to the transmission. They have taken hostages and are demanding ransom from your government. Jiho's hands clenched into fists. Those colonists are innocent people. Farmers, teachers, shopkeepers. They have nothing to do with politics or war. Pirates do not care about innocence, Nara said grimly. They care only about profit. My government will pay, Jiho said. They always do for hostages. But that just encourages more attacks. Nara was quiet for a moment, her armor cycling through different colors as if she was thinking hard. There might be another way, she said finally. What do you mean? The Veltar fleet could reach 3 Claw Station before the ransom deadline. We could discourage the pirates from continuing their activities. Jiho stared at her in surprise. You would do that? Risk Veltar lives for human colonists? Would this surprise you so much? Nara asked. Yes, Jiho said honestly. Most advanced species see younger civilizations as problems to be managed, not people to be protected. Nara's armor turned a warm gold color. Perhaps the Veltar are different than you think. Or perhaps you are different than most species we have encountered. Different how? You see beauty in broken things, remember? You find hope in darkness. You believe that every life has value, not just the lives of your own kind. Jiho felt warmth spread through his chest. You have been watching us very carefully. More carefully than you know, Nara said. Your species fascinates me, Ambassador Kim. You are so young, so fragile, yet you face the galaxy with such courage. We face it because we must, Jiho replied, and because we believe it can be better than it is. Even when others disappoint you? Even when they show you cruelty instead of kindness? Especially then, Jiho said firmly. Giving up on hope means giving up on the future. Nara moved closer to him. In the nebula's light, her armor looked like it was made of liquid stars. You truly believe this? She asked. With all my heart, Jiho replied. For a moment, Nara's armor became completely transparent. Jiho caught a glimpse of something beneath it. Not skin, but patterns of light and crystal that pulsed like a heartbeat. Before he could process what he was seeing, the armor solidified again. Then perhaps, Nara said softly, there is hope for us all. Hyun-woo's voice crackled over the comm system. Ambassador Kim, please report to the communication center immediately. We have an urgent message from Earth Command. Jiho sighed. Duty calls. Yes, Nara agreed. But Ambassador Kim, before you go, I want you to know something. What? Whatever happens in the days ahead, remember that courage comes in many forms. Sometimes the greatest courage is simply choosing to trust. As Jiho hurried toward the communication center, he looked back once. Nara stood silhouetted against the nebula, her armor glowing like a beacon in the darkness. Something told him that their conversation had changed something between them, though he could not yet understand what. The future suddenly felt full of possibilities and dangers in equal measure. The joint human-Veltar strike force moved through hyperspace like a hunting pack. Ambassador Jiho Kim sat in the command center of the human vessel Soul's Pride, watching tactical displays show their approach to Three Claw Station. Beside him, Nara studied the same information with her violet eyes. 15 pirate ships, reported Captain Lee from the pilot's seat. Standard Raider-class vessels, fast but lightly armed. They are using the colonists as shields, Nara said, her armor flickering between blue and red. Very dishonorable, even by pirate standards. Jiho clenched his jaw. Through the viewport, he could see the battered colony station spinning slowly in space. Scorch marks covered its hull where the pirates had blasted through the defenses. Somewhere inside that metal shell, 50,000 innocent people waited in fear. The ransom deadline is in 4 hours, Hyun-woo reported from his station. Earth Command is prepared to pay, but they want to try a rescue first. A rescue will be difficult, Captain Lee said grimly. If we attack directly, the pirates will start killing hostages. Nara stood and moved to the tactical display. Her armor began to glow brighter as she studied the pirate formation. "There is another way," she said, "but it will require precise timing and complete trust." "What do you have in mind?" Jiho asked. "The Veltar ship Lightbringer has stealth capabilities your sensors cannot detect. I can board the station alone and disable their internal defenses. Once their systems are down, your Marines can assault the docking bays." Captain Lee shook his head. "Too dangerous. One person against 15 ships full of pirates?" "I am not just one person," Nara said quietly. Her armor rippled like water, forming sharp edges along her arms. "And pirates are not warriors. They are bullies who prey on the weak." Jiho studied her face. There was something different about her expression, a cold hardness that had not been there before. "You have done this before," he realized. "Many times," Nara confirmed. "Before I became a diplomat, I had other duties. The strike force dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Three Claw system. Immediately, the pirate fleet moved to intercept them. The lead raider ship opened communications. 'Unknown vessels. You are trespassing in claimed space,' came a rough voice over the speakers. 'Turn around now, or we start spacing colonists.' Captain Lee looked at Jiho, who nodded grimly. "This is Ambassador Jiho Kim of the Earth Alliance," he broadcast back. "We are here to negotiate for the safe release of all hostages." "Good," the pirate leader replied. "Then you can start by transferring 1 million credits to our accounts. After that, we talk about releasing some of the meat." Jiho felt anger burn in his chest. These criminals spoke of human lives like they were cargo to be traded. "We need time to arrange the transfer," he said, stalling. "You have 2 hours," the pirate snapped. "After that, we start making examples." The communication ended. Around the command center, the human crew looked grim. 2 hours was not much time to mount a rescue operation. "The Lightbringer is moving into position," Nara reported, somehow receiving information through her armor. "I will transfer over in 30 minutes. "Wait," Jiho said. "Let me come with you." Nara turned to stare at him. "Absolutely not. This mission requires stealth and combat skills you do not possess." "Those are my people on that station," Jiho said firmly. "I will not sit here safely while others risk their lives for them." "Your death would accomplish nothing," Nara replied. "Stay here where you can coordinate the rescue." But Jiho had made up his mind. "I know the station layout better than you do. I helped design the colony when it was first built. You need me." For a long moment, Nara said nothing. Her armor cycled through several colors before settling on worried yellow. "If you come, you must follow my orders exactly," she said finally. "No heroics, no taking risks. Promise me." "I promise," Jiho said. 20 minutes later, they transferred to the Veltar stealth ship. The Lightbringer was unlike any vessel Jiho had ever seen. Its corridors seemed to be grown rather than built, with walls that pulsed gently like living tissue. The ship moved through space without making a sound. "Approaching the station now," reported the Veltar pilot. No indication they have detected us. Nara led Jiho to an airlock that faced the colony station. She pressed her hand against the wall, and her armor flowed outward, creating what looked like a second skin around both of them. "This will let us survive in vacuum," she explained. "Stay close to me and do exactly as I do." They stepped out into space. Jiho gasped as he saw the stars stretching endlessly in all directions. Nara took his hand and activated some kind of propulsion system in her armor. They flew toward the station like two ghosts in the darkness. The colony's outer hull was scarred and broken. Nara found a maintenance hatch that the pirates had not bothered to guard. Her armor flowed into tools that cut through the locks without making a sound. Inside the station, emergency lighting cast everything in red shadows. They moved through corridors filled with frightened colonists huddled in their homes. Jiho's heart ached to see children peeking out from behind barricaded doors. "The main control center is 3 levels up," he whispered. They climbed through maintenance shafts to avoid the pirate patrols. Twice they had to hide while armed raiders passed. Below them, Jiho watched Nara's armor shift and change to match their surroundings, making them nearly invisible. At the control center, 6 pirates stood guard over the station's computer systems. Nara studied them for a moment, then looked at Jiho. "Stay here," she whispered. "No matter what happens, do not interfere." Before he could protest, she dropped through a ceiling vent into the control room. What happened next was like watching lightning given form. Nara moved so fast that the pirates barely had time to draw their weapons. Her armor flowed and changed with each attack, becoming whatever she needed it to be. But something was different from her demonstration in the arena. Here, fighting to protect innocent lives, she was not holding back. Her movements were precise and deadly. In less than 30 seconds, all 6 pirates lay unconscious on the floor. "It is done," she called softly. "Come down." Jiho dropped through the vent and stared at the defeated pirates. "Are they dead?" "No," Nara said, though her armor was now blood-red with anger. "Though they deserve to be for what they have done here." She moved to the control panels and began working. Her armor extended tendrils that connected directly to the station's computer systems. "Their ship defenses are down," she reported. "Your Marines can begin their assault." As if summoned by her words, explosions echoed through the station as human. Troops breached the pirate vessels. The rescue operation had begun. But as they prepared to leave the control room, Nara suddenly stumbled. Jiho caught her arm and gasped. For just a moment, her armor had become transparent again. Beneath it he saw not flesh and blood, but intricate patterns of crystal and light that pulsed with their own inner fire. "Nara, what are you?" he whispered. She looked at him with eyes full of ancient sadness. "I am what my people became when we chose survival over everything else," she said. "I am beautiful on the surface, Ambassador Kim. But beneath this armor lies something that might terrify you." Before he could respond, her armor solidified again. But Jiho had seen enough to know that everything he thought he understood about her was wrong. The woman he was falling in love with was not human. She was not even entirely organic, and somehow that only made her more remarkable. The medical bay of the Soul's Pride hummed with activity. Rescued colonists filled every bed and stretcher as Dr. Mina Park and her team worked to treat the wounded. Ambassador Ji-ho Kim moved through the chaos, checking on the survivors and trying to offer comfort where he could. But his eyes kept finding Nara. She knelt beside a young girl who had been badly burned during the pirate attack. The child was maybe 7 years old with tears streaming down her face. Nara's armor had shifted to soft pink and gold colors, and she was humming something that sounded like a lullaby. "The pain will go away soon," Nara whispered, touching the girl's forehead. Where her fingers made contact, the burn marks began to fade. "Sleep now, little star. Dream of better days." The child's eyes fluttered closed, and her breathing became peaceful. The worst of her injuries had simply vanished. Ji-ho stared in amazement. He had never seen medical technology that could heal burns so quickly. But as he watched, he noticed something strange. Nara seemed to know exactly how to treat each patient's injuries before the doctors even finished their examinations. An elderly man with a broken leg. Nara touched his shin and the bone mended itself. A woman with internal bleeding. Nara placed her hand over the wound and the bleeding stopped. A teenager with a severe concussion. Nara held his head in her hands and the boy's eyes cleared. "How does she do that?" whispered Nurse Chen, who was standing beside Ji-ho. "Her armor must have advanced medical scanners," Ji-ho replied, though he was not sure he believed it himself. Dr. Mina Park appeared at his elbow, her face troubled. "Ambassador, could I speak with you privately?" They moved to a quiet corner of the medical bay where no one could overhear them. "I ran some discreet scans on our Veltar friend," Dr. Park said quietly. "The readings are very strange." "Strange how?" "Energy patterns unlike anything in our medical databases. Her body temperature fluctuates in ways that should be impossible. And when she heals people, I detect massive power surges that seem to come from inside her armor." Ji-ho felt a chill run down his spine. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that woman is not what she appears to be," Dr. Park replied. "The question is, what exactly is she?" Before Ji-ho could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Captain Lee's voice crackled over the comm system. "All hands to battle stations. Pirate reinforcements have arrived. 12 more ships, including a heavy cruiser." Through the medical bay's viewport, Ji-ho could see the new pirate fleet dropping out of hyperspace. These were not the small raiders they had fought before. These were real warships with enough firepower to destroy the rescue fleet. "We need to retreat," Dr. Park said grimly. "We cannot fight that many ships." But Nara was already moving toward the exit. Her armor had turned deep red, the color of anger and determination. "Where are you going?" Ji-ho called after her. "To end this," she replied without stopping. Ji-ho followed her through the corridors to the main hangar bay. Nara was heading for a small Veltar fighter craft that had been docked there. You cannot take on 12 warships alone, he protested. Nara stopped and turned to face him. Her violet eyes were blazing with inner light. I can, and I will, she said firmly. Those pirates will not be allowed to hurt any more innocent people. This is suicide, Jiho said desperately. Even you cannot survive odds like that. Perhaps not, Nara agreed. But I must try. She moved toward her fighter, but Jiho grabbed her arm. The moment he touched her armor, images flashed through his mind. A crystal world dying in plague. Scientists working desperately to save their people. A young woman volunteering for an experiment that would change her forever. I saw something, he gasped, releasing her arm. When I touched you, I saw memories. A plague, scientists, someone choosing to sacrifice themselves. Nara went very still. Her armor dimmed until it was almost black. You should not have been able to see that, she whispered. What did I see? Jiho demanded. What really happened to your people? For a long moment, Nara said nothing. Around them, the ship shook as the pirates opened fire on the rescue fleet. My people were dying, she said finally. A genetic plague that no medicine could cure. We had perhaps a year before complete extinction. But you survived, Jiho said. Some of us did, Nara replied. We found another way to live, a way that saved our minds, but changed our bodies forever. She pressed her hand against the wall of the hangar. Her armor flowed outward, connecting with the ship's systems. Through that connection, Jiho felt her pain. Centuries of loneliness. The weight of being something caught between life and death. The armor is not technology, she said quietly. It is a living creature from our planet's core. A symbiotic being that bonded with volunteers to create something new. Part organic, part crystalline, part pure energy. Jiho stared at her in shock. You are not Veltar anymore. I am what the Veltar became, Nara corrected. I am Nara Valthon, last daughter of a dying race, and I am Lux, a crystal entity that chose to share its existence with organic life. Together, we are something that has never existed before. The ship shook again as more pirate weapons found their target. Warning lights flashed red throughout the hangar. That is why you can heal people, Jiho realized. That is why you fight like nothing I have ever seen. You are two beings working as one. Yes, Nara said. And now you know why I warned you about what lies beneath my armor. I am not the beautiful woman you thought you were falling in love with. I am a fusion of species, a hybrid that should not exist. Jiho felt the weight of her revelation. Everything he thought he knew about her was wrong. She was not just alien. She was something entirely outside his understanding of life itself. Are there others like you? He asked. A few, Nara replied. We call ourselves the Guardians. We protect what remains of our people and search for meaning in our extended existence. How long have you lived like this? 347 years, she said, watching civilizations rise and fall, seeing countless species make the same mistakes we once made. The hangar doors began to open, preparing for her departure. Nara moved toward her fighter, but Jiho stepped in front of her. "I do not care what you are," he said firmly. Nara stopped and stared at him. "You should care. I am a monster wearing a beautiful face. You are the woman who risked her life to save human colonists," Jiho replied. "You are someone who heals children and quotes poetry and finds hope in the darkness. That is what matters to me. Even knowing that I am not truly alive, that I am some kind of fusion between organic life and crystalline intelligence, especially knowing that," Jiho said, "you chose to become something new to save your people. You sacrificed your original form to protect others. That does not make you a monster. That makes you the bravest person I have ever met." Nara's armor began to glow brighter. For the first time since her revelation, she smiled. "You continue to surprise me, Ambassador Kim," she said softly. "Most beings would run in fear from what I am." "Then they would be fools," Jiho replied. "Beauty comes in many forms, remember? I see beauty in your courage, in your compassion, in your willingness to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Even if that fight might destroy me, then I will fight beside you," Jiho said without hesitation. Nara reached out and touched his face with her armored hand. Where her fingers made contact, he felt warmth and something else, a presence that was not quite Nara and not quite something else. The crystal entity, Lux, was acknowledging him. "In 3 centuries, no one has ever offered to stand with us," she said. "Perhaps this is why the Veltar were interested in humanity. You see possibilities where others see only problems." The ship shook again, more violently this time. Captain Lee's voice echoed through the hangar. "All ships prepare for emergency jump to hyperspace. We cannot hold this position much longer." Nara looked toward her fighter, then back at Jiho. "Come with me," she said. "Help me end this threat once and for all." "Together?" Jiho asked. "Together," she confirmed. As they climbed into the fighter, Jiho realized that his life had just changed forever. He was no longer just a human diplomat. He was the partner of something unique in the galaxy, and he had never been happier. The Veltar fighter moved through space like a living creature. Ambassador Jiho Kim sat in the co-pilot seat, watching Nara's hands dance across controls that seemed to respond to her thoughts rather than her touch. Her armor had connected directly to the ship's systems, making pilot and vessel one unified being. Around them, the pirate fleet spread out in attack formation. 12 warships against 1 small fighter. The odds were impossible, but Nara seemed calm as she studied their movements. "They are trying to surround us," she said, her voice carrying strange harmonics as both she and Lux spoke together. "Standard pack hunting tactics." "Can we outrun them?" Jiho asked. "We could," Nara replied. "But then they would attack the colony again and again, until someone pays them or someone stops them permanently." The lead pirate cruiser opened fire. Energy beams lanced through space where their fighter had been moments before. But Nara had already moved. the ship flowing around. The attack's like water around stones. How do you do that? Jiho wondered. Lux can predict their firing patterns by analyzing their weapon signatures, Nara explained. Crystal intelligence processes information differently than organic minds, faster, more completely. She spun the fighter through a complex series of turns that should have crushed them both with acceleration forces. But somehow the ship's systems compensated, keeping them safe inside a bubble of artificial gravity. "Impressive," came a mocking voice over the communication system. "The little fish has some tricks, but tricks will not save you from the Crimson Brotherhood." "Crimson Brotherhood?" Jiho repeated. "I know that name. They are one of the most ruthless pirate organizations in the galaxy." "They were," Nara corrected grimly. "After today, they will be history." 3 more pirate ships moved to intercept them. Nara flew straight toward their formation without slowing down. At the last possible moment, she rolled the fighter sideways and fired a single shot from their main weapon. The beam that emerged was unlike any energy weapon Jiho had ever seen. It was pure white light that seemed to bend space around it. When it struck the lead pirate ship, the vessel simply vanished, not destroyed, not exploded, just gone, as if it had never existed. "What was that?" Jiho gasped. "Crystalline energy, focused through quantum manipulation," Nara said, as if that explained everything. "Lux's natural abilities enhanced by Veltar technology." The remaining pirates began firing wildly, panic clear in their communications. But their weapons could not touch the dancing fighter. Nara moved through their attacks like she was choreographing a deadly ballet. One by one, the pirate ships fell. Some were destroyed by those impossible energy beams. Others were disabled by weapons that seemed to turn their own systems against them. Within 10 minutes, only the flagship remained. "Impossible," came the pirate leader's shaken voice. "What are you?" Instead of answering, Nara opened a visual channel. Her face appeared on screens throughout the pirate fleet, but it was not the beautiful diplomatic mask she usually wore. Now her features showed both organic beauty and crystalline perfection. Her eyes blazed with inner light that was definitely not human. "I am Nara Valthon of the Veltar Guardians," she said, her voice carrying the authority of centuries. "I am the sword that defends the innocent and the shield that protects the weak. You have chosen to prey upon those who cannot defend themselves. This choice has consequences." "You are just one ship," the pirate leader blustered. "We still outnumber you." "Do you?" Nara asked. She pressed her hand against the fighter's control panel. Her armor flowed outward, connecting not just with their ship, but somehow reaching across space to touch the pirate vessel's systems. Through the connection, Jiho felt what she was doing. She was not just piloting their fighter. She was simultaneously taking control of every system on the pirate flagship. Weapons, engines, life support, communications, all of it was suddenly under her command. "How?" the pirate leader whispered. "I am connected to Lux, and Lux is connected to the quantum field that underlies all matter," Nara explained. "Through that connection, I can touch any technology that uses similar principles. Your weapons, your shields, your life support systems, all of them are now mine to command." The pirate ship's weapons turned inward, pointing at its own hull. Its shields flickered and died. Emergency lights began flashing as life support systems prepared to shut down. "Please," the pirate leader begged. "We surrender. We will release all hostages and leave this system." "You will do more than that," Nara said coldly. "You will return every stolen item, free every slave, and disband your organization permanently. Any member of the Crimson Brotherhood found engaging in piracy after today will face the full wrath of the Guardians." "But that will destroy us," the pirate protested. "Yes," Nara agreed. "That is the point." She began shutting down the pirate ship's systems one by one. Not enough to kill the crew, but enough to leave them stranded and helpless. "Wait," Jiho said suddenly. "Let me talk to them." Nara looked at him in surprise. "They are criminals who prey on innocent people. They are also sentient beings who might be capable of change," Jiho replied. "Give me a chance to offer them a different path." For a moment, Nara's armor flickered between red and gold as she and Lux debated internally. Finally, she nodded. "You have 2 minutes," she said. Jiho activated the communication channel. "This is Ambassador Jiho Kim of Earth. I speak for the human colonies you have been attacking." "What do you want, human?" the pirate leader growled. "I want to give you a choice," Jiho said. "You can continue down this path and face destruction by the Guardians. Or you can choose a different future." "What kind of future?" "Honest work," Jiho said simply. "The frontier colonies need protection from other pirates. They need cargo hauled between distant worlds. They need people willing to take risks for honest pay instead of stealing from the innocent." "You would trust pirates to guard your people?" the leader asked skeptically. "I would trust people who have chosen to change their lives," Jiho corrected. "My species believes in redemption. We believe that anyone can become better than they are." Silence filled the communication channel for long moments. When the pirate leader spoke again, his voice was different, quieter, more thoughtful. "What would we have to do? Return everything you have stolen. Free any slaves or prisoners. Register with the Colonial Protection Service and undergo training in legitimate security work." "And if we refuse?" Jiho looked at Nara, whose armor was now glowing with barely contained power. "Then you face the Guardians," he said simply. "And there are things in this galaxy far more dangerous than pirates." Another long silence. Then, reluctantly, the pirate leader agreed to the terms. As the pirate fleet began releasing hostages and preparing to leave the system, Nara turned to Jiho with wonder in her violet eyes. "In 3 centuries, I have never seen anything like that," she said. "You offered mercy to those who showed none to others." "Everyone deserves a chance to be better," Jiho replied, "even pirates." "This is why the Guardians are interested in humanity," Nara said softly. "Not because you are strong or advanced or perfect, but because you have something we lost long ago." "What is that?" "Hope," she said. "The belief that tomorrow can be better than today, no matter how dark things seem." As their fighter turned toward home, Nara's armor began showing new patterns, soft spirals of gold and silver that seemed to dance with joy. For the first time since her transformation centuries ago, she was not alone. "Jiho," she said quietly. "Yes. Thank you for seeing beauty."